Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I'm super excited to be showing you how to make techno like Joyhauser. So as usual, you can get the project file and samples, MIDI, and presets, and all that kind of stuff in this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there. They'll all be available there shortly if it's not already there. And yeah, let's get started. So, this is a loop you heard in the intro. We're at 128 BPM. The first sound I have here is the kick, which sounds like this. So what this is it's this kick sample. I'll show you the original. Just like a punchy sort of 909 style kick. And then I'm putting it through a ton of processing here. Well, it's not really that complicated, but it is a lot of effects. But I'll show you, it's not that crazy. So yeah, so I have the kick in here, you can see, pretty simple. And then the first thing I have here is this overdrive. So I'll show you, here's without it. And then with it, it just gives the kick a little bit more, like, attack. It makes the attack of the kick hit a little bit harder. It's really simple. And then I have the dry wet down on this one, so it's not completely wet. But we just have a little bit of that being blended in. After that, we have this EQ8. Here's without it. And with it, so you can hear this one's really helping to focus, like, the punch of the kick, like, here and here. I've got some boosts, and I've also got a bit of a high-end boost. And so this is just, again, really focusing in on, like, where the clicky kind of, like, attack of the kick is and helping to bring that out. After that, we have the saturator. Here's without it. And then with it, so you can hear, this is also helping with the attack of the kick, but it's really helping to add some more kind of, like, fatness to it as well. After that, we have this audio effect drag. And this is what's doing the rumble, if I turn this off. Yeah, so that's where the rumble is coming from. So basically what's going on here is we have a dry chain and a wet chain. And on the wet chain, we have a few things. We have a simple delay, which you can see is just set to 16th notes. I've got it doing the mono setting. Then we've got that going into a bit of distortion. Then we have a low-pass filter. And then I just have this thing cutting out some muddy frequencies. And then this auto pan. So what's going on here is just a simple rumble. Like, I'll show you kind of from the ground up. So here is, okay, so here's nothing. Then the delay. Then going into the distortion, you can hear that's really bringing out like the low end. That sounds kind of cool too. But then we have the low pass filter. And then that's getting it so it's just the low end. And then finally we just have the EQ8 kind of cleaning it up. And then the auto pan is sort of like side chaining into the kick. You know, it's like making it kind of bounce up in volume. I just got it on quarter notes. And yeah, that's it for the rumble. It's not that complicated. I guess using the simple delay is a good way to do it because it kind of, you know, you get more of like a percussive kind of rumble as opposed to like when you use reverb, you know, it's just kind of like, I guess, reverby. After that, we have another EQ8, and you can see this one's making a really sharp cut in like the low mid-range. Here's without it. And with it, so you can hear this really helps to scoop out that range and just kind of make it more focused again on the low end and the high end. That's really what you want with these kinds of kicks, and then a bit of mid-range. But this range, when you cut that out, that's what really makes it sound deep. After that, we have a bit of drum bus. Here's without it. And with it, so you can hear this just fattens it up a little bit there toward the end of the chain. Then we have this limiter, and so here's without this. And with it, so the limiter's pretty extreme, to be honest with you, but it's definitely, you can maybe dial it back a little bit. But you can hear it's really helping to like fatten up like the rumble and kind of glue it together with the kick. This is maybe something some of you are going to be a little bit upset with seeing, but like, yeah, this is a really good technique. I've seen a lot of like bigger techno producers using this. Like just kind of putting a limiter on the kick, takes that rumble and then the just like the dry kick, it really helps to glue them together and make them one. And you can hear that's what's happening again without it. And with it. So after that, we have 3 EQs. These are just kind of like doing some extra last minute sort of shaping that I wanted to do. I'll show you. Here's with nothing. And then with them. So you can hear this is what really ties it together at the end. So yeah, you can see this first one here is just kind of cutting out more of that low mid-range. Again, scooping that out is what really makes it sound deep. You can see with this next one, we've got a bit of a low end boost. Right where like that punchy part is. And a bit of a boost up here as well. which you can hear is adding to like the punchiness, because that's where a lot of the like attack of the kick is happening. And then yeah, like I said, just the low mid-range boost. And then this last one is just a low end boost. Just kind of bring that out a little bit more. And yeah, that is the kick. Like I said, it's not that hard to do. The main thing here is like it's a lot of effects, but they're all kind of working towards the same thing. Like we just want the fattest, hardest hitting, strongest, most basic kick you can get. So that's the kick. The next thing we have here is the ARP, which sounds like this. This is pretty simple. All it's doing is it's playing this kind of like half note, I believe, pattern. Yeah, it's a half note. So it's just going, we're in F minor here. So we're just playing with notes from the F minor chord. Like we have F, F, C, the fifth, G sharp, the minor third, another F. We have a G up there, which is the ninth, but I mean, that's in the scale. Another G sharp. You know, the point here is it's not that complicated. Again, we're just kind of playing with notes in the F minor chord. Now, for the sound on this one, I made it using analog. What I was going for here was kind of like this very high-pitched, kind of like energetic ARP. You can hear without this, it kind of feels more like the intro or the outro or something, but when we add it, that's what really gives it all that energy. So, yeah, so the way I made this sound was using analog. Like I said, we just have two saw waves. I've got a pitch envelope on one of them. So that's kind of like, it's just doing this really fast pitch envelope. Helps to kind of obscure it and make it a little bit more interesting sounding. After that, I have those going into a low pass filter. You can see I've just got the frequency there. Got an envelope on that. So you're not dialing it back. Yeah, after that, amp envelope, pretty similar. And then I have the unison on here. It's doing very little. It's just adding a little bit of chorus because I have it at 0, but it does add a little bit of something. So after that, we just have this chorus. Here's without it. And then with it, you can hear that's just adding some kind of more chorus to the sound and more kind of spacey, dimension-y sound. After that, we have a bit of echo just to give it some more some space. And then we have a drum bus to fatten it up. You can hear a big difference there. After that, we have the EQ8 cutting out the low end. Just kind of clean it up and make room for everything else that's happening. And then the last thing we have on here is an auto pan. And this is just doing the same thing I was doing on the kick rumble, where it's just kind of like simulating a sidechain. Because I wouldn't want to sidechain anything to this kick. And yeah, that's the ARP. The next thing we have here is the lead, which sounds like this. So, same thing here as the ARP, just playing around with notes from the F minor chord. We got like F, another F, G sharp, G. So then there's that ninth coming in again. You know, it's not that hard. It's just knowing about how to know, or like how to play with the octaves and stuff like that. Like you can see, if that was all in the same octave, it would be really boring. You know, it just wouldn't be the same. But knowing how to like kind of make it interesting through getting creative with that type of stuff can really help with writing these kinds of leads and these melodies. So for the sound on this one, I made it using wavetable. What we have here is just a simple super saw type of sound. I've got a saw wave and a square wave, but the square wave is turned down quite a bit, going into a low pass filter, and then I have this envelope on the amplitude and on the filter. So you can see in the matrix there. And then the last thing we have on here is I just have a bit of unison. So you can see it's actually quite a bit, you know, to get these big kind of trancey, warehousey sort of leads, the unison is pretty important. And yeah, that is it for inside of the synth. After that, we just have a bit of echo doing dotted eighth notes and a bit of reverb. These are just giving it space you can hear. So yeah, there's with everything. Pretty simple stuff. After that, I just have a bit of drum bus and a bit of OTT. So the drum bus and the OTT are just kind of fattening it up. You can hear the drum bus really helps to make it fat. And then the OTT just kind of helps to bring out some of that sharper high end and make it a bit more bright. And with that, I have the amount down quite a bit. And I have the time up all the way, so it's not really messing with the sound too much. Yeah, and then the last thing we have on there is another one of those auto pans just kind of simulating a sidechain. This one I have down quite a bit because it's the lead, so we want it to be kind of more up front in the mix. And then we just have an EQ8 here, just cutting out some low end, boosting a bit of high end. You can hear the difference there? And yeah, that is the lead. The next thing that we have here is the pad, which sounds like this. So what this is doing is it's actually following an F minor chord as well. As you can see, F minor, definitely a very important chord for the style. But what's going on here is we just have the F and the C, the root note, and the fifth. And then we have this G sharp up here, which is the minor third. Normally you'd have that there, but I put it up an octave. And then we have that going down to the ninth right there. So it's just going down one semitone. This just kind of gives it some like sort of uneasy sort of thing underneath. It's hoping to kind of work with that vibe that we've already been building with the other elements. If I turn it off, it's almost like a different feeling. You know, something like this could be really useful in like the break, or I mean even in the drop like this. But yeah, so the way I made the sound on this one is using analog. It's a really simple, just a saw wave going into a low pass filter, no envelope, got the amp envelope set like that. Got a bit of vibrato, a bit of unison, and like I said, that's it for inside the synth. Really simple. Something big and powerful like that. After that, we just have a bit of chorus. Just kind of giving it some more like chorusy sort of stuff, you know, like what the unison is doing. Then we have a bit of reverb to give it some space. I have an auto pan on here, again, just doing the sort of fake sidechain. And then the last thing here is just an EQ8 cutting out the low end. And yeah, that's it for the pad. Like I said, it's not really that complicated. It's a nice element to have underneath everything in there. The next thing that we have here is this operator hi-hat, which sounds like this. So what this is a pretty standard sort of techno hi-hat, you know, just something going like constantly playing those 16th notes. All we have here is just a bit of white noise going into a bandpass filter. You can hear the bandpass is what takes it from white noise into more of like a hi-hat. Then I just have a bit of drum bus to kind of fatten it up and get it away from just sounding like a dry synth. And then the next sound that we have here is the main hi-hat, which sounds like this. So this is the hi-hat that's playing on the upbeats. You know, we have like two different ones. And what this is it's two layers. We have a shaker and then a hi-hat. And so what's going on here is basically the shaker is more kind of in the mid-range. And then the hi-hat is more in the high end. And they support each other. You can hear if I have it as just the shaker. It's a little bit too like, it just doesn't have that same like bright, sharp high end to it. But if we have just the hi-hat, it doesn't have enough power in the mid-range. So when we layer them, it kind of fills it out and we get the best of both worlds. So yeah, that is it for the hi-hats. I have those in a group together as well. This is something I talk about a lot in my videos, but you know, when you take all the similar sounds and put them in a group together and put processing on them as a group, you kind of make the overall, like all of those sounds sound more together and just better as the finished product, because you're taking them and kind of putting the same effect on them all at the same time. So it's making them all sound more cohesive. So yeah, so what we got here is we have, I'll show you, here's like with nothing, and I'll just go from the ground up. So here's with nothing. You can hear it's not really that strong in the mix. It doesn't really like stand out. The first thing we have on here is a reverb, which sounds like this. So it's really subtle. It comes out more with some of the other things that are on here as well. But all we got going on here is I've just got a short decay time, really low dry wet, and it's just giving everything a little bit more space and kind of putting everything in the same room sonically. After that, we have this drum bus, which sounds like this. You can hear this is helping to kind of fatten it up. And it also brings everything together a little bit closer in volume. And then speaking of that, the next thing that we have here is a compressor, which sounds like this. So you can hear that does even more, just kind of like takes everything in. It's not so much flattening it out. As you can see, I don't have it doing a whole lot of compression there. But it's just helping to get that quieter hi-hat and the louder hi-hat to more even levels. Like there's still, you can still tell one is louder and one is quieter. But it just feels more like one thing now. So with this, one thing that's also important is the attack. I have the attack up. Basically, that's just how long it takes for the compression to kick in. So it won't mess with like the transients of the hi-hats. After that, the last thing we have on there is just this EQ8 cutting out the low end, doing a bit of a high end boost to make it a bit sharper. And yeah, that is it for the hi-hats. And that is also going to be it for this video. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Let me know who you want to see me do or what you want to see me do a video on next.
As always, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets and all that kind of stuff in this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there. It'll be available there shortly. And yeah, thank you so much, everybody. And I will see you tomorrow with another video.